Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelove, and this is Speedplay Touggourt number 9. So for the first time in quite a while, we have basically everything set up, so we don't have to worry about any concerns, any other AI country, nothing. We are completely free to do whatever we want with a very large force and the ships necessary to take them wherever we want in the world. So we're going to gather up a force of a little less than 40,000 men and go over to invade Brunei and take over their island in the East Indies that is in between two of our footholds there. We're also going to just bring every force that we can get from all the scattered islands from our last war with Portugal and declare that war and just march across their island. The idea is we're just going to carpet siege the entire thing, keeping the bulk of our forces at the front for a couple battles, and we win the first battle and just keep moving forward. If we just destroy their army, we won't have to worry about it, and there it goes. Now we'll gather up all the spare men to just pile up to move forward into a new area. The Ottomans call us to arms, and we join as their war is already nearly won. We lose a battle with one of our split away forces against a much larger Brunei force, although that's not really too significant of a loss, as we're just going to get the entire island we're fighting for with essentially no fight. Although we may have to just siege the whole thing out and then move additional forces to other islands in order to get a full 100% war score, or 100% overextension. We probably won't be able to get a 100% war score, and that's a good thing. It means we can take whatever money they have and get them to maybe give us war reparations. At any rate, we're going to go off into this island and just go siege out all of their provinces here. It looks as though they might have a colony, so we're probably just going to seize that, and then we don't even have to get our ships to move these armies off of the island. So there we go, we do seize their colony, and we'll just send one of our colonists once they're done. And from here, it's just a matter of waiting until we get a high enough war score to take our demands. We're also going to build another fleet, as we're rather rich. Overall, this is an amazing position for us, and we're just going to take all of the time that we're not threatened to seize lands. So for the near future, we're just going to add these lands that we just took to our trading company, and all of the lands that we have yet to add to trading companies. Hopefully that'll net us an extra merchant, which thankfully it does. So I take a look at where we can place it, probably just in the Moluccas where we actually got the merchant, and we'll just collect from there as we don't have the entire route controlled yet. Eventually I will want to go in and double check on the trade to see if I can get any more income, but right now we're not really hurting for money. The most important thing is that we are spending a lot of military points suppressing Portuguese revolters after all of the islands we seized in our last war with Portugal. And we need 4 more transports in order to get a full 40 in this area. I've decided that groups of 20 will be good for our armies. Now the Portuguese do revolt. I decided I wasn't going to spend all the points necessary to keep them down, so we're just going to ship our army in one massive clump to just destroy all the revolter armies. It isn't necessarily the best plan to defeat the rebels, but we don't really have an excess of military points, and we're not really using our army for anything, especially now that we're just coring all of these lands, as it wouldn't really make sense for us to go about expanding while we're already at 100% overextension. Admittedly, we could aid our vassal in East Africa, as I've essentially left them on their own since we took control over them. But for right now, our army may as well be used to destroy these rebellions, and we'll just branch off sieges, which will give us an excuse to build more transports in the Mediterranean in just a moment. Before we get to that, though, our colonies in Australia have finished, so we'll go ahead and add more men to them. It looks like we can change our trade a little bit to hopefully get a little bit more money. And the idea with getting a new transport force, first we're going to get a new army just to fill out the numbers. Ideally, we'll get another 20 group of transports in the Mediterranean, but we'll probably wait a little while to do that. And that way we'll be able to just park our transports off near Suez, and we can keep two completely distinct transport groups. One that'll stay in the East Indies, one that'll stay in the Mediterranean, and maybe a third separate group that'll just stay with an army and be the transport group personally for that army. The idea is that we will get the maximum amount of power projection, not the game bonus power projection, but actually the ability to project our force throughout the world. And we just broke our alliance with this country to invade them and take even more lands. We didn't time it perfectly, so we won't actually have a moment where we're only at less than 100% overextension for maybe a second. So we could have timed that better if we were trying to take over the entire world. As it stands, though, this should be quick enough. Besides, we're probably going to end up going to war with Brunei again afterwards, and we have a truce. So we're not actually losing very much potential by waiting a couple extra months and just defeating those rebels. Besides, that also gave us an excuse to get the transport group ready for the Mediterranean, and that will overall be a very great thing to have in the long term. You see the sieges are already mostly complete, and we're just going to move across to their second island while bringing as many forces as we can from other theaters, which is now an ability that we have without too much effort. So there we go. We are in a very great spot. We do have a bit of rebels, but since we have so much of an ability to transport force, we can just take care of it really easily. It doesn't hurt that we really don't have to worry about any issues with the Europeans, and the Ottomans are friendly, which you'll notice I've had a diplomat just maintaining relations with the Ottomans this entire time, and I'm almost certainly never going to change that, as it makes this whole game very simple. Besides, every moment that we're colonizing is a moment that that the European powers can't, and two, when we do inevitably turn against the Europeans, we will be all the stronger for it. Now we're going to try to seize all that we can of this new island, and ideally we'll get it to the point where we have an entire new trade company with an entirely new merchant, at which point we can probably go ahead and see about just transporting the flow of trade to our capital, and inevitably we will end up building a large trading fleet. Until that time, though, we took all of their holdings on this island, and we're going to just begin adding it all to our trading company, which is basically going to just be our standard operating procedure from here on out in the East Indies, and then we'll just move our force back. Meanwhile, we're nearly done colonizing Australia to the point that we'll get a colonial nation. Once it's up to 10 provinces, we will get an extra merchant, and that is a very welcome thing. Overall, though, this is going to be the plan of action until something forces us to stop, with just little bits in between where we core everything, readjust our forces, and build up our strength even more so. You'll notice we are not in any way, shape, or form hurting for basically any resource, although, of course, once again, the same colonial nation as last time has declared war on the same Portuguese colonial nation as last time, and that really throws everything into a bind. We're going to just move some forces into the Philippines prematurely, just so that we have them when war does inevitably break out. And the issue we are sort of going to end up facing is we have a lot of transports everywhere, but no real support for them except for in one or two places. And there we go, the war's been declared, but we'll save that for next time. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. We'll see if all of the changes we've made since our last war with Portugal will make the difference, and I'm pretty sure that they will. Thank you very much.